Just look at these beautiful, fancy little paper clips that I designed. They will make any journal or notepad look amazing and very important. Hi, everybody. It's Erlene of Erlene Garcia Art. And I came up with this idea of taking the Tim Holtz little people and turning them into these fabulous paper clips. Each of the ladies, they're adorned with their own special story, their little feathers, and sentiments. So let's get started and make a couple of them. I took the paper punch and I punched out 2 black for each paper clip, and then I punched out a little butterfly because I think the back should be as pretty as the front, and save the little butterflies for another project. Let's just measure the paper clip. It's a coated large paper clip. And then I punched out an advertisement from a copy of a Sears and Roebuck old-fashioned catalog. You can use any type of advertisement from a magazine if you're making a modern one of these. And then I'm taking hot glue, a little pink plume feather, and I'm just going to hot glue it down on top of the paper clip. I'm going to take my stick glue that I purchased at the 99-cent store. It seems to work really well. I'm going to adhere those 2 pieces together, and that even looks cute right there. The butterflies look nice in the back. If you have any edges that might be open, just glue those down as well. You want your paper clip to stay secure, of course. So next we went to enhance the advertisement to make it look aged. You can use any type of stamp ink that you might have. I happen to have some Tim Holtz Distress ink on hand. So you can use a makeup sponge. You can use a Q-tip or a little dauber and go around the edges to age it. This particular one is called Walnut Stain, and I have used this so many times over the years. I even have one of the ink pads that has lasted me like, oh my gosh, like 10 years. And there's so many cool colors that it comes in. And of course, being an artist, I have to have every one of his colors. I like the Tim Holtz relatives that he offers, but if you happen to have a family member or a collection of photographs, put it in a color copy machine, shrink it down, and cut them out. Make several of them because this is such an amazing project. You're going to want to make one for every one of your members of the family. Now, I bought a roll of tickets at the junk store, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't leave this here for, it was only a couple of bucks. Couldn't leave it there for a couple of bucks. And I thought I'm going to use these in some of my art. I have used them in a lot of my art. And they even get better once you age them. You can buy a small amount. I happen to have a huge roll. But so I'm going to crinkle it up, and then I'm adding the stain on top of it. And this is not a Tim Holtz marathon, but I happen to have his film roll there. And I bought it a long time ago, not even knowing what I was going to do with it. And when I started putting these together, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to add to the vintage look that I'm trying to create. So, and I do use it sparingly because I haven't really seen it lately. I bought it at Michael's many years ago. So I just hot glued it on there. And when you are using your hot glue, make sure you get the little flyaway strings. Take those off because it will only insult your artwork. So what we want to do in the front is cover any part of the paper clip that is showing, and you want to trim all of the stuff off the back because you don't want it to be super thick. And always make sure that the back of your artwork looks as pretty as the front. I'm such a stickler about that, but I have sold so many pieces, and I believe it is because I take the time to make sure that the back looks as nice as the front. So anytime that you are trimming or adding something, look at it and say, does it look as old as the front? Especially if you're aging it. You want everything to blend. So blend, blend, blend. When I found the little relatives that he offers, I was like, what is this? This is so cool. And it actually saved me a lot of money. Number one, I used a coupon. Number two, I have such a large collection of vintage photographs that I use in my greeting cards. And I would have to make photocopies sometimes. And when I came across the Tim Holtz relatives, I was flabbergasted. I loved it. I loved it. I was like, why didn't I think of that? So let's put her on the front. We're probably going to hot glue her down. Don't use the stick glue on this because it is a little bit bumpy because of the paper clip, and you really want her to stay on there. And whoever is using your paper clip, they're going to use it possibly in a book or on their notepad, but they're going to be poking it in and out, in and out. So we just want it to stay nice and firm. That is so adorable. I am so proud of myself for thinking this up. And then once I got started with one, I made two, then I made three. Oh my God, look at that. And then I decided that I was going to sell it on Etsy. And I figured since I made 4 really super cute ones that I would sell them as a set. And yes, they are already sold. But after watching the video back, I feel like I want to make some more. So I came across this hand punch at Michael's. It's an arrow and a hand. And I love using black cardstock. If you've seen a lot of my other art, I use black cardstock on everything. I just think it adds oomph. It really complements the piece. And look at that. So let's make a couple of more. Do the same thing because it is a set. You want everything to be cohesive. And one thing about the tickets, I did like that they were pink, and I came across some turquoise ones, but there's like 1,000 tickets on there. What am I going to do with 1,000 tickets? So let's age this little piece. And whenever I did go through that old Sears and Roebuck catalog, I chose so many pieces that it was incredible. Look at that guy with his top hat. I love top hats. And when you are using the advertisement, be choosy, pick and choose, because people like that. So this particular color is called Picked Raspberry. It is so pretty. Oh my gosh. And that one is called Mustard Seed. They also blend very nicely together. So let's continue with mixing 2 colors. Look at that trunk. That's kind of like what I have as a coffee table in my living room. So whenever I'm bored or I cannot think of something to create, I sit down with my stamps and I stamp out sentiments, and sometimes I'll use different color inks, and then I will put them on a white cardstock, and then I will glue them on a black background and something like this. And it's nice to have a lot of those on hand because it's good to put them aside and have them ready to go whenever you do decide to make a small project like this. Or if you're making a lot of cards, you want to have everything just ready to go in your workstation. So I'm going to just take the stick glue, and I'm notorious for covering up the eyes or covering up the mouth. And I think it just kind of adds a little bit of sex appeal, really. So when you're putting together something like this, what I like to do, I will make 5, 10, 15, 20 at a time, because like I said, I'm selling them in sets. I sell them in the stores. I want to make sure that everybody has access to it. Or you can make some extra ones and put them in the closet where you keep the extra gifts when there's a last minute birthday party or holiday party and you accidentally forgot about somebody that you have to give a gift to. So let's look at the little feathers. I'm going to choose feathers to match each of the little relatives, and I'm going to hot glue them down, and gluing feathers is quite messy, but it's worth it. So pretty. It looks like a little manufacturing line, but that's what you have to do sometimes when you're trying to fill an order. That's why when I stamp sentiments, I will do like 50 at a time, because when you sit down to create, you don't want to have to stop and go, oh my God, I got to do the sentiments. Oh, I have to go through the feathers. Everything in my studio is colorized. Everything is in a little clear box so I know what I have. It's very important. If you don't have a clear box, use a baggie. Just keep everything separated, and it will keep your creative life creative. So I took the hot glue and I'm sandwiching the pieces together. And just make sure that all of the edges are glued in. And now we get to add the relatives. Now she's great just the way she is, but she's too big. And I'm going to cut her in half. So let's put some hot glue down. And this is where all of the magic happens. I'm going to make sure that this is a one-shot deal. So just make sure that where you put her is where you want her. That is awesome. So let's flip it over. We're going to cut it. And see that little string? Those drive me crazy. That's why I do not like using hot glue that often. But again, make sure none of those little hot glue strings are showing. So let's see who goes on the next one. And that one looks like it might need to be her. I love her. I don't know. I've just used her image a few times. She's on some of my greeting cards. And every time I use her, I try to make her look different, because everything I make is one of a kind. Whatever you design doesn't have to be that way, but I don't know. I'm a stubborn Taurus. I can't make the same thing twice. Make sure all of those edges are glued down. Again, that big glue stick is from the 99-cent store, and it works for me. So if you like a different brand, I do like Scotch. I used to find Scotch at the 99, but I don't see it there any longer. So I'm going to glue that underneath, and it brings the man forward. And then let's see who we're going to put on the front. Oh, she goes in the back. So she's going to stand in the back. That's pretty cool. Again, as you know me, I am doing a voiceover and watching the video along with you for the first time. Oh, that's just the way that I work. I'll film it, and then something happens. I can't see the video right away. And then I'm like, oh, shoot. I need to share this with the world. So I'm seeing it for the first time with you, as always. So yes, get those little hairs of glue off. And she calls for a little feather on her hat. Oh, that is perfect. I'm really proud of myself. When I see stuff that I've done and I haven't seen it in a while, I'm like, that is so cool. And I like the way that I'm putting something on the back, so it kind of gives it like a more of a 3D effect. Oh, well, it looks like maybe I decided the feather was too big. So that looks like a pheasant feather that's been dyed. And that blue is such a beautiful blue color. So we're going to use the Distress ink again. And like I said, or I always tell everybody, when you're using a black and white photo, just don't leave it black and white. Enhance it. Make it look like it came from a antique store or your grandmother's attic. Highlight the colors and don't be afraid to mix. Ooh, that's a pretty blue. Oh yeah, that one's called Peacock Feathers. Very appropriate to go with the cousin of the pheasant feathers. So, and if you find that it might be too bright, you can take your finger and just kind of like wipe it off. Now, obviously, you don't have to use this just for paper clips. You can use these ideas for other embellishments. You can put them on a gift bag. I think that would be so awesome. You could turn it into a tag and then write somebody's name on it that goes on a gift bag. There's so many great ideas that you can use. Now, look how cool that looks. It's the same color I used on the other lady, and because this lady's dress is darker, it just kind of totally changes it. That is so super cool. So let's just hot glue that ticket down. And so maybe the next time you see some tickets, or you're at the bingo, or God knows wherever they're offering a ticket, and if your ticket doesn't win, it will win because you're going to recycle it and turn it into a piece of artwork. So this is what we call washi tape. Some of you are familiar with it, maybe some are not. And there's like really super cool images on it. This particular one, I believe I purchased at Michael's. The only reason that I cut the edge there is because I want it to fit underneath her dress. But I do like the rough edge on something like this. I'm just keeping it, rough, natural. And I think when you do that, it makes it look super cool. So let's add another piece of film strip because we want all of the 4 paper clips to blend. And I think with the little film strip and that little picture of the camera from the washi tape, it tells a little silent story. So again, make sure that the back is covered nicely. And we still have a couple of more steps to go. So look at her. We're going to add the little sentiments. And I'm just going to use a regular stick glue on there. She looks like a traveler, doesn't she? I'd love to have a hat like that. So let's use the pink again. And let's see where I'm going to enhance. Oh, her collar. Probably the cuffs, hopefully. Oh, good, I did. See, I'm the teacher myself. If I didn't do it, I probably would have been mad at myself. So because this is a set, I did use all of the same colors on each girl, but if you notice, it was in different areas. So, wow, I'm loving that. See how it clips on the paper just nicely? Pretty cool. So let's not stop there. Let's continue with maybe one more little sparkle. What do you think? I think we need just a little bit more. But before we do that, we have to cover the back. Don't think I forgot. So I'm just going to take some scrap pieces, cover the back of the relatives, and then I'm going to rip it. And there is a raw edge in the back of that first one there. So keep in mind that every piece of artwork that you do, I always insist that you put your name on it somewhere. So I'm going to take a scrap piece of natural colored paper. I'm going to use my Vistaprint stamp and stamp my name on it. I'm going to cut it out and cover up some of the odd seams that you might see in the back, and people will know that it's a handmade item. And then you will look at everything and make sure that all of the glue is off, trim where needed, make sure that any part that is not looking creatively professional, then fix it, because the world will be looking at it just like they're looking at all of the detail that I'm doing with my artwork. And I am the biggest critic of my own artwork, so I have to make sure that it's precise. I'm really liking it. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want it to be stable. You want it to hold up. You want it to last for years. Oh, wow, that was a good idea to use that little piece back there. So that looks like I'll probably glue that down. And here's my little favorite part. I have an acrylic crystal that I'm going to enhance her hat. And that just really adds the final detail that I was looking for to finish it off. And of course, we have to add, your name in the back. And see, that was a little raw edge. It was simply covered with my name so people know who made it. And ooh, she gets an earring. That one is an Austrian crystal. The difference in price is an acrylic one is pennies, and that one crystal is about 15 cents. So it does add up. I'm going to enhance her camera with a black Austrian crystal. Put my name on the back. Those butterflies look amazing. It looks finished. It looks polished. Ooh, she gets a little crystal on her hat. So look at that, lovely and amazing. Hello there. Each and every one of them have their own little silent story, but yet it does come complete as a set. That is so awesome. You just made my day. Thank you so much and have a happy day. Bye.